Hello, beautiful soul family. How are you? Um, you will notice these ginormous energy spikes that I have chosen for my background today. And it is super important, really. You may or may not know what they are. This is the Schumann resonance. And these big white spikes are the peaks of the solar energy that is coming into Earth. And what you see illustrated in the two images, it's been wave after wave after wave of these ginormous energy thrusts into Earth, into our ecosystem. And I've talked about it several times. Um, lots of the starseeds and light workers that have channels talk about the energies, right, coming in. But I was guided. This download came in on the 14th, and I was guided to talk about this because of the results, like the byproducts of the massive energies, and um, the things that it unsurfaces, the things that it brings up that we may or may not really welcome at the time, but to try to understand that the end goal is a positive one. So again, this was all downloaded and I wrote some notes on it. So I'll be referring to the notes, but it's really it really came through. What was I doing? Oh, I was about to start a meditation. And as soon as the tones started, I started to pull this information in. So spiritual oneness, that's the same meaning as unity consciousness. Unity comes through our lessons of acceptance and love, tolerance, and non-judgment of our brothers and sisters. Energy is bringing these up to resolve all these issues, to allow the light in for soul evolution and DNA integration to the fifth dimension. The increased energy helps to activate our latent DNA. The increased energy, some that's not solar, it's galactic, and it's sent to us from our galactic family, our galactic partners, and they send specific energy for healing and activating certain chakras, releasing traumas, different things like that. So we are getting in our physical form and our energy body the effects of multiple different sources of energy, all to push us to deal with everything, to go through the training, to go through the energy upgrades and the integration that we need in order to be prepared for fifth dimensional life, because that's our ultimate goal. To be in that frequency consistently, we have to consistently upgrade our physical form to more and more of the crystalline DNA and more of our light body. That's why your diet will change. That's why you won't eat the heavy, dense food anymore. Your body, as your frequency rises and as you're ascending further and further, you're not going to want that. Your body's not going to need it and not want it. You will be more into hydration and plant-based for food. So again, everything that I'm going to touch on is really, you can pull in the effects of the energy to the cause. Okay, like cause, effect. I'm going to talk about the effects. This is the cause, the energy spike. And it's happening whether you call it into your being or not. So again, knowledge is power, and understanding how to navigate this is super helpful, so you don't feel like you're got some strange medical thing happening, because that's not it. 9 times out of 10, it's ascension symptoms, and it's, like I said, ultimately a good thing. Truly integrating our oversoul and higher self leads to self-mastery, which accelerates your path of ascension. So to be accepting of all of the upgrades as a good thing, and try to not be like, oh, I'm sick again. Oh, I have dizziness again. Oh, my ears won't stop ringing. Oh, I'm nauseous again. It's a positive thing to accept it, open in your being, openly accept all of the energy upgrades, all of the wisdom, all of the integration is with grace and ease is more beneficial than kicking and stomping and whining about it, because it's going to happen either way. Relationship issues are one of the greatest struggles at this time. Resolving and clearing karmic imbalances and also coming to terms with our own disharmony in current relationships. And this is huge. I see it in our crew. We have some people in our culture, in our world, they are not with the beings that they're going to be with for the long term. Some have divine soulmates, some have twin flames that they have not met yet, but they've been in training on how to evolve their soul to be prepared for a truly balanced and harmonious divine feminine, divine masculine, and healed inner child to best succeed in your divine relationship whenever you reunite with that being. And the way that we are taught, it's like boot camp, are these karmic relationships. Okay. Karmic relationships are the ones that are just full of triggers, and usually emotional, physical, sometimes, different types of abuse and trauma, and very, very hard on every being involved. But they are there, they are happening in your life now because it was soul contracted that you needed to evolve this soul that you have to a certain place in the evolutionary process before going into fifth dimension or before reuniting with your twin flame or your divine soulmate. So that's why so many people are having these issues. That's why the ones that are awake and have been working on themselves are really aware. These things that you would rather not deal with because it's easier, you know that you and your spouse or partner are not compatible, but there are other little beings involved, and you put those little beings before your own highest and best good. That's what our heart wants us to do, and that's what our mind and society tells us we need to do. But is it actually the best thing for you? I don't know. It's not for me to decide. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you that there should be a conversation that you are able to have with your higher self, with your guides, with Source Creator about where you are in your karmic relationships. And the questions are a lot less 3D matrixy than you would think. The questions really are, the goal of the question needs to be that you're asking from a place of neutrality. Most people, when they're in this, they can't find neutrality. They are completely and emotionally invested, right? But finding someone who's not invested in the outcome of your karmic relationship, being that like confirmation partner, so they can ask these, and the question should be, is the karmic relationship that I'm currently in providing me with lessons that I still need to learn? Have I completed the contract with this karmic individual? If the answer is yes, that you have completed the contract, and that means the soul contract, the agreement that you guys had, that those two beings had prior to incarnation. And if the answer is yes, then you get that free will choice on the table again. What are you going to do? So you contracted to learn and teach each other a certain thing, a certain set of events or whatever. It's done. And life together is miserable. Life together is toxic. Life together is bombs going off and anxiety because you never know what's going to set each other off, and a fear, lack of safety, lack of security, lack of love, like all these things that actually result in more shadow work, more trauma, more pain, more anger, more frustration, all low vibrational things. So whenever you can actually look at it in a neutral sense, objectively, take the emotions out of it, sit your ego down, and you look at the actual byproducts of this energy exchange. So these two beings are throwing off lots of toxic emotion, every low vibrational feeling you can possibly have, and yet you're trying to ascend. Those are keeping you back from your potential. And the only reason why it's happening is because you haven't made the free will choice to end the karmic relationship that has been completed in the contract. And I understand it sounds a whole lot easier to do than in real life, but it still is something that should be addressed because it's not meant for you. Just like any other non-serving way or habit, it's not meant for your highest and best good. It's not meant to allow you that ascension that you so deserve. And so this is the stuff that kind of hits people out of left field, right? They go, well, I don't want my kids to be hurt. And what will people say? And all these things. So that, again, free will choice. You have to decide for your soul what is in your highest and best good. And then make a decision based on that. Because you don't control other people's soul contracts. And the soul contract of your children may not be to be involved in the chaos of a karmic relationship fallout longer than necessary. So the knee-jerk reaction is going to be, I didn't want to hurt my kids. I want them to have their both parents and all that kind of stuff. But realistically, children, animals, your neighbors, like no one is fooled. When a relationship is karmic and blowing up all the time, that energy is palpable and it is felt, whether you acknowledge it or not. So then you have to pan out, right? You have to pull back and go, is this thing I'm holding on to for all the wrong reasons actually doing more harm than good? And again, you have free will choice in this matter. Taking the neutral, try to be neutral, inventory of all beings you are sharing energy with, both taking and receiving. So that is, I do have a video I did a while back about taking inventory of your life. And that is whenever you really go through and ask. Now, the first step, I mean, you can get a gut feeling. Thing is, are you going to pay attention to that gut feeling, or within 5 seconds, you're going to tell yourself, that's not true, that's not real. It's 11:11 on the clock. Ask yourself, is so-and-so in my highest and best good to interact with them? Is this place that I always, that I always have to go to for so-and-so, is it in my highest and best good? Is this place attached to something that actually causes me to be energy drained? Does it cause me more harm than good? Asking those questions is very important. If you have had an energy clearing and you have a clear channel and you can talk to your higher self, it's super easy. If you haven't, you still are going to get that gut feeling, that knowing. You just have to acknowledge it. And you have to understand that what we've been told our whole lives is our imagination or our own thoughts. It's really our higher self trying to give us guidance. And we've been poo-pooing it all of our life because that's what everybody said we should do. So in my reality, there are many people that will put questions like this in either private message to me or one of the admins because they don't trust their own reaction. They don't trust their own answers. And I get that because when you're in it, it's very, very hard to be neutral. Like there are certain things that I don't ask because I know that I'm not neutral about it because of my own situation. So we take that very seriously, and we don't want anybody to make life-changing decisions without really having very neutral, unbiased confirmations done. And even then, it's your choice. But I say that, cautionary. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. If things really, really are screaming out at you in your life, it is for a reason. Okay. It is for a reason. Things are trying to get energetically, things are trying to get your attention. Like, hey, this isn't going to get any better. It's only going to cause more energetic damage. So, and we have that happen quite a bit too, where, people have been actively the only half of a relationship, seeking ascension, seeking the wealth of abundance that comes from spirit, understanding and integrating all the changes in our energetic bodies. And then they know their truth. Okay, they know it, but they can't face it. And then all these big energies come in, and literally the energies and our spirit team are unpacking the boxes for us. Like, yeah, I know you wanted to leave this in the back corner of your closet in that shadow, but it needs to come out. And that's the thing. Not addressing it is doing no one any favors. You want to release that other being as well from the contract. It is done. It is completed. Nothing good will come of the situation. There's a card in many decks, but several of my oracle decks that's void of course, and nothing will come of the situation. Continuing to put energy into this void that is like throwing good money after bad. Nothing else will come of this because the contract is completed. So even if you're, focusing on the light and the rainbows and the love and let's do everything for our children because they deserve better, it's really energetically not possible. It's not possible. So being real with the true nature of how beings come together is also a vital component. Understanding soul contracts, I think, is a vital component. Knowing that a lot of energy bodies and beings that cross our path is not a coincidence. It's all synchronicity. Something that happened in your sacred geometry 20 years ago left you completely perplexed and heartbroken. Now makes perfect sense in this now moment. There's a lot of time that went by. There's a lot of decisions that were made based on confusion. But as our souls evolve, as things take hold in our being as truth, and we navigate our way more and more closer to source, we can make sense of it. I don't know how to explain behavior that's like crazy making. I don't know why insanity spews insanity. I can't explain it. You know why? Because it's insanity. I am trying to be very real and very objective at what's happening. You can, many do, get tied up in the emotion of things and just spin out into chaos. Again, a total waste of energy. Am I saying not be emotional about the ending of a marriage? No, I've been there. I know it's emotional. But I'm saying don't get tied down in it because the energy of that relationship was not ever going to succeed no matter what you did and no matter what they did. It was brought together. The two beings are brought together to create the opportunity for the lesson to be taught and learned. That's it. That's the contract. If you ask the question and the contract is complete, it's then time for the beings to move on. These karmic relationships are not just with spouses and partners. Sometimes it's with our children. Sometimes it's adult children. Sometimes it's coworkers. Sometimes it's church communities. Sometimes it's general communities. Sometimes it's neighbors. Sometimes it's cousins. It's siblings. It's parents. It can be anyone. And here again, I'm going to give you a dose of reality that for me, it really helped me. So let's say hypothetically you have a 12-year-old and a 17-year-old child. And you think of them as 12-year-old and 17-year-old children, right? Because that's Physically, that's what you see. But energetically, the soul of that 12-year-old is thousands and thousands of years old and much more evolved than obviously a 12-year-old. And the soul of a 17-year-old is equally evolved. And on a soul level, they completely understand what soul contracts are because they came in much longer, they were with source longer. They're closer to source because they're younger in chronological age. So the longer that we've been here on this planet, the longer we've had to fight with the insomnia and fight to get back to truth. So they're closer to source, they're closer to truth. A lot of these beings that came in the last 20 years, they have a complete understanding of things that we're just trying to wrap our noggin around. So the false premise is that they're children and they won't understand. The truth is that their souls are much more evolved than ours, and they didn't contract to be a part of these karmic bombs going off for their entire life. It was only supposed to be for a limited period of time. But whenever you ask the questions about any being and you get the answers, some of the answers are shocking. Sometimes you find out that this person that you've been spending so much time with doesn't even have a soul. Sometimes you find out that they are an organic portal. They have a micro soul with no ability to actually connect to higher self, source. They don't have any ability to have authentic, genuine emotions. And that could be your aha moment because you're like been screaming at them for decades as to why they don't show any emotion, because they can't. So again, knowledge is power, and being able to ascertain and discern truth through your higher self, it comes with being clear of negative energy. So whenever you go through your list of people, like we have like our nuclear family, and then we have like our work family, and then you have like this broader spectrum of people that you encounter here and there. Once you get the answers, then again, free will choice is on the table. What are you going to do with that information? The balance is vastly important to expand self-awareness of the energy vampires and lack of healthy boundaries we commonly are responsible for. The energy vampires are the ones that you engage with and leave you feeling utterly decimated, depleted. I call them hoovers because they suck the life out of you, right? And sometimes this is your family. Sometimes these are your siblings. And you're like, the phone will light up and it'll be their name. And you're like, I just don't have it in me to talk to them today. That's an energy vampire. And they're calling and they're giving you all the tea. And they're just dumping stuff on you. And then they feel better, so they get off the phone. And then they leave you with all the stuff. Meanwhile, they took your energy. They zapped it right out of you. So are you going to continue to allow this to happen? Again, we're back to free will choice. These energies are pushing these things to happen on a much, much larger scale and a much more frequent scale. And so ignoring or dismissing is becoming harder and harder. It's in your highest and best good to understand that, number one, what is a healthy boundary? A healthy boundary is whenever we can identify energy vampires, we can identify people that do not have a soul, we can identify people that are not in our highest and best good, and we set a boundary where we are not going to have or allow energy exchanges with those beings. You may have conversations with them, you may have to deal with them at work or family gatherings or what may have you, but you are going to go in armed. Okay, you're going to go in and be like, I have my defenses up now. I have blocked this person's ability to send negative energy to me. I have blocked this person's ability to take my energy from me. And on any other level of exchange, the answer is no, because it's not in my highest and best good. That in itself causes so many people heartache because of the way we were raised. You know, we were raised to just say yes, 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 yes to everyone and everything. And oh, forgive them. They've been through so much, you know, or they don't know what they're saying or what. Stop making excuses for bad behavior, first of all. The bad behavior that is wreaking havoc all over the place, it's up to you whether you interact with it or not. So the matrix is going to suck you in. Oh, don't you miss your family? Don't you want to be around so and so? Don't you want to see the baby? They'll always manipulate you through the kids, right? Because that's like where our heartstrings are, by and large. The actual thing, not in a manipulative way, the actual question to answer is, am I going to get positive interaction from involving my energy in this event or not? Is it going to give me anything or is it just going to take? And is that in my highest and best good? See, when you do that, you're shutting the ego up, doesn't even get a voice. You're pulling out all the emotional triggers and you're really turning inward to your inner child, to your divine feminine, to your divine masculine. And you're saying, is this really good for us? We've come a long way. If I go spend half a day with this crowd, we're going to have a lot of work to do to get back to where we've been. So then you want to protect your energy. And that is what we're being asked to do in this now moment. God consciousness and light body in our auric field is relying on your harmonic balance and balance. We are mostly in imbalance whenever we all start this journey. You know, we're totally imbalanced. We have chakra blockages, we're full of negative distortions. We don't even know about a divine feminine. We have completely ignored our inner child because of the divine masculine being shoved down our throat, no matter what gender you are, right? And so it takes a lot of work to realize that we are to achieve harmonic balance and then really maintain it, work very, very hard to maintain it, because through that balance is where true ascension, evolution, and transcendence comes from. Without that, you are going to be putting forth a lot more energy to get back to the same spot. The disharmony and imbalance diminishes your light quotient and the divine connection to your spirit team. Whenever we're imbalanced, whenever we're full of negative distortions, chakra blockages, when we're full of lots of things that deter us from accessing the truth of the divine, then those messages don't come through. They may come through with a little piece, a little nugget of truth wrapped in a whole bunch of stuff that is not. And so that is just a derailer. And it's a huge derailer for a lot of people because they get sucked into all the matrix stuff, right? They just can't let go of it. Part of it is understanding what those attachments are doing to our energy body. And then once we understand that, we need to take the steps to go forward to ensure that we're honoring our energy body and honoring our divine relationship with our spirit team. If they're sending us messages, and I've recently had this, so the last month, I'd say, I had some energy stuff happening, and it was all based on things inside. It was all inner triggers, inner trickster energy over deep seated concerns or questions or things that were imbalanced. Okay. And from that caused all sorts of chaotic events to take place. And that affected other people. And so I had to pull back and say, wait a minute, this isn't right. This doesn't feel right. When did this start? You know, I really had to look at it and go back and undo some non-serving ways that had creeped in, and ways that I thought were good that I then learned were as a miscommunication. So it happens to all of us. But when it happens, your spirit team's going to back off because they know you need to recenter. They know that you need to recalibrate and ground and just figure out things. Once you are back on that harmonic balance, then they come back to you. So, like, all is not lost, but you do not have constant access to the communication with your spirit team while you're in this chaotic state. You really have to find your way back to balance, and then they come back to you. So if you feel like you've had good communication and good interaction with your spirit team, and then that gets really, really quiet, but you're hearing other stuff, that's a clue. That's a clue that you've got some trickster energy that's just having fun with all your concerns and fears and things like that. And your spirit team is pulled back, waiting on you to get your shit together. Increased frequency, increased vibration in the body is a good byproduct of that harmonic balance. So it just happens. As soon as things come back online and it's a straight column of energy, and your energy being is not full of negative distortion, those messages can just drop in and come through whatever your abilities are. We are empowered to join efforts to neutralize the negative energy built up over the ages. That is something that comes through where, as you do take care of cutting the negative ties to things that no longer serve you and healing the attachments and the core wounds that came from those interactions, and then your frequency rises, right? And then you get more power and you get more clarity. And as you do, we are called then to help neutralize the negative power that's also affecting the land and the structures and the beings that go to these places. So you'd be amazed when you start asking, as far as like energy places. Is this place of the light? Is this place in alignment to source? Is this place connected to negative grids? You'd be surprised on the answer that you actually get. The galactic and celestial families implore us at this time to use our unified purpose and share our positive energy throughout Earth, fully supported by the divine. And our focus needs to be on unity and oneness, right? Spiritual oneness. It has nothing to do with religion. Religion is man-made. This is your spiritual connection to the divine. That is the goal, where judgment falls to the wayside, where you are completely empathic, compassionate, kind to not only yourself, but your brothers and sisters, no matter what they look like, no matter what it is that they're doing. And one thing that came up in our crew discussions yesterday, I wanted to mention it here, because Source is like, absolutely, it was not a coincidence. There's a lot of judgment, and there's been a lot of judgment based on events that we truly believed happened the way we were told it happened. And they're lies. We now know a lot of the events that we were told in our history didn't happen the way that they say it happened. Some of the people that we idolized, the truth is not what we thought it was. So it leaves an entire like umbrella of things that we have to come to terms with, in terms of releasing the judgment, forgiving being judgmental, and understanding that it was all part of script. It was all part of a script. It was all part of, some of the people that we thought died didn't die. Some of the people that did die didn't die because of the circumstances we were told that they died under. So the assumptions and the judgment and the conclusions that we had come to way back when are not based on truth. And so that opens up an entire umbrella of like things to come to terms with from the narrative. And it does zero good for your energy body to keep holding like grudges and having judgment and not wanting to release these other karmics from their role that they played in these events that were really to wake us up. They were really some of them were happening because the masses were sleepwalking through life and they could literally just do anything and we wouldn't notice it. And some things were definitely nefarious acts and we were told straight up lies about the circumstances around it. And so now, again, because of these energies, some stuff's coming up that we haven't thought about in decades. And we're asking our higher self and we have this discernment and we have this gnosis now. And we're like, yeah, this doesn't even smell right anymore. And you start digging into it and you dig down and you realize that what you based your opinions on, what you based your judgments on is not true, and also not healthy. And so that's a whole nother layer of shadow work that some people have figured out that they have to do. And again, shadow work, it's a hill you have to climb, but nobody lives there. Nobody's erecting a home on the side of that hill. You just climb it. And if you have trouble with one step, the person coming behind you doing shadow work can help you up. We are here to help support you during the shadow work journey because it's not fun. But there are definitely, ways to navigate that are not as torturous as maybe some others. And knowing that on the other side of it is true healing, where you have cleared out the shadow in your soul. The light has come in. You've cleaned up all the dust bunnies of all the lies, and you've released all the karmic souls engaged in that event, where before you had judgment, guilt, blame, shame, pain, all this stuff that is all low vibrational. So you can't have it. You cannot have it taking up residence in your energy body and not deal with it to completely ascend to fifth dimension. That's why these big energies are coming in. If you've heard about the solar flash, these are just preparing us for that big one, because it's less harmful to the masses to give us doses here and then another dose here and another dose here instead of a just big giant dose at one time. So I hope this information's been helpful to you. It came in, like I said, it was just a big, huge download that in order for us to be loving and accepting and non-judgmental of others, we have to first start with ourselves. And in order for us to be completely unity consciousness and in a state of oneness with our brothers and sisters, and all of God's creations, we have to forgive ourselves, release all the karmic contracts, understanding that they had a place and a purpose. And if the contract has been fulfilled, it's over with. And that the divine has relationships for us that have occurred, united and reunited lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. And if that is in your future, you want to definitely address the karmic stuff now and clear it out and deal with the shadows of it so that you are prepared, and that can come to you quicker than if you prolong all this things that will happen inevitably anyway. You are literally prolonging the divine destiny of your sacred union. So all the points are coming together to really, really, really kick us up into the fifth dimension. But there's some work that we have to do first. And